Welcome to our video episode of Love, Growth, and Narratives.
Woohoo!
I'm Freddie.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today's topic is swipe right or scroll D. We want to talk about dating apps and how they've affected our lives and how they may be affecting other people's lives and how they're meeting people and all of that good stuff. But before we get started, we want to let Tiffany handle some business.
So, as I do every week, I'm going to talk about how you can support us. But the exciting thing is now you can see us live. Well, not live, but you can see us on YouTube and Spotify. You can watch the video. We're still available on audio, on Audible and podcast. But please, when you go on...
And Amazon.
That's right. Please, when you go on, please hit like, follow, love, leave a comment. Am I forgetting one of them?
No, but you did forget Apple will still be audio as well.
Oh, Apple will still be on as well. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we want you to please share and follow, hit like, and all that great stuff. Thumbs up and show up your support to us as we move into a new way of bringing you information every week.
Thank you so much for sticking with us throughout this whole period of growing. So is this exciting or what?
This is exciting. It's exciting. It's a little nerve-wracking, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right? I'm a little bit uncomfortable being on camera, but I'm excited about it as well.
And we're still trying to figure out the lighting, a little bit of shadows and stuff. And we're doing this in our dining room.
The dining room. Yes.
That's a little bit crazy.
Yes.
But getting into the topic that we wanted to talk about was swipe right and scroll D.
Right.
Because the way we met was over dating apps, a particular dating app.
Right. Hinge.
That's
right.
Yes. And I mean, there's so many different ones out there. And I tell you, I tried a bunch of them over the years, from Match to Hinge to Bumble and Tinder and
Bagel Meets Coffee.
Yeah.
And eHarmony.
eHarmony, one of the
Let
oldest.
people meet going way back.
I didn't even see that.
Okay.
Yeah. But one of the things I found is that the social media, the social dating apps, they're good for some things, depending on the kind of person you are, but maybe not so much for others.
Right.
You know, I was on Tinder for a long time, didn't really meet someone that I wanted to, meet in person.
Right.
So,
And it's funny because a lot of times people are on this, all of them, right?
Yeah.
But their personalities are a little bit different on each one, which is interesting, but I had zero luck on eHarmony, zero.
Yeah.
And that's one that's pretty extensive. You have to answer questions, you pay money.
It's crazy.
I mean, zero.
Yeah.
Zero. Did you ever try that one?
No, I did eHarmony. I got nothing off of it. Match was another one that I got nothing off of. And you got to excuse us. Our dog is trying to get our attention. That's part.
Stop it.
That's part of doing this in our dining room, and that he doesn't care that we're recording.
He doesn't. Maybe we'll show him before it's all over. But
one of the things I did want to talk about in all seriousness was a lot of my friends, when I told them initially that I was on the dating apps, they talked all kind of trash. Man, you don't want to do that. You want to meet a woman the traditional way and the right way. And I said, yeah, but I'm not comfortable just walking up to a woman and, I don't have any lines. I don't know how to start off. And it's not comfortable for me. And besides the fact I was in Los Angeles, which is not my hometown, where I didn't know a whole lot of people. And so I didn't feel comfortable going through that.
Okay. For me, I really only have one friend who was kind of like, what are you doing? Also she's way more outgoing than I am and like talks to everyone. But a lot of my friends actually met online, unless they met their high school sweetheart. A lot of them met online and married the person that they met online. So in my circle, especially like a lot of the teachers, that's the way they did it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was catching it. But the whole thing was, some of the guys that were single or divorced or whatever that would talk all that trash, I'd say, but who have you met?
Right.
and you're still alone.
Right.
So, you may want to
Right.
give it a shot because either you've been at the wrong place at the wrong time or your lines aren't working.
Yeah. Right.
You may want to try it.
Right.
And in terms of all the dating apps, by the way, I had the same information on all of them.
Oh, good.
It was copy paste.
I feel like I did similar, but as I was going through the process, I would update it to say certain things like, I don't want this, I don't want that. And that's kind of what I like about it, is you can be more upfront, like from the very beginning, you can kind of, I feel like it's easier to weed people out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. And we could talk about, in this particular case, why it may.
Yeah, because I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Your red flags and all the rest of that stuff. How did that work out for you?
It didn't. Well, my big thing was, and I don't know if I must not have said it, because if I had said it, you wouldn't have probably.
Yeah, I probably would not have.
Right. But I didn't want anyone who had dogs, because I wasn't a dog or animal person, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want anyone who rode motorcycles.
Yes.
And I didn't want anyone who smoked cigars. Those are like my big things. And really little tiny kids, And
Didn't want someone who worked a job where it had them away a lot.
Exactly.
Or worked some weird.
Didn't want it, even, I don't care if they were a surgeon or if they, collected trash. I didn't want someone who spent all their time at work.
Right.
Or their hours weren't similar to mine. And I actually got that in you. Your hours are not similar to mine, but they're way different than mine, actually. But
mine are better.
Yeah, way better. But the thing is that we're available.
Yes.
Like when I'm off, you're available, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. But
in terms of the red flags, how did you explain those?
I mean, once I got with you, you had 2 dogs.
Yes.
But you're such a great guy, right? And at first I was really scared of the dogs, right? And now there's 1 dog, but I was really scared of the dogs.
Yes.
I felt uncomfortable, but I pushed myself through it. And now I'm like totally in love with this dog, and he's in love with me. But I don't think I would have pushed past the motorcycle and the cigars, though.
Okay. Well, luckily for you, I'm a few years past my cigar time.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a huge cigar smoker, especially when I lived in Maryland and had to drive to Virginia every day through all of that traffic.
Mm-hmm.
That cigar would just kind of help me to relax, help me to mellow out in all of that beltway traffic and downtown DC traffic and everything.
Great.
But yeah, I've stopped smoking.
Yeah.
Probably about 2 or 3 years before we actually moved out to here to California. So I had it out of my system.
Yes.
And but I rode motorcycles as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went through this divorce, I really was thinking, maybe I'll get another motorcycle. And now I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm past it.
Right.
Now the time that I can do it, I'm like emotionally past it now. Right. So it's like,
right.
I don't want to do it.
Right. Which goes to say that timing means a lot, right? It means a lot.
It does.
Because we had been swiping right on each other any sooner.
Yes.
Who knows what.
Yeah.
We would have not, we'd not keep scrolling deep into that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when I saw you, of course I saw how beautiful you were. And I don't know if I talked about this in one of our earlier podcasts. I may have, about the t-shirt.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I'm kind of on the nerdy side. And I was like, this is a beautiful woman. What kind of intellect is she going to have? And then that t-shirt, let's have a moment of science. I was like, okay, this is a woman I want to get to know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember, asking the question. And to be honest with you, it was a canned question. It was a question I asked everybody. So was, what can you tell me about yourself that I can't see from your bio?
Right. And when you asked that question, to me, it was such a deep question. I was like, I'm not about to write a dissertation on here. Let's just talk on the phone.
Yeah.
But to go back to why people might be some people just want that in-person interaction. I totally understand that. And then some people probably kind of get discouraged on apps because you end up going through so many more people. You don't go through that many people when you're meeting in person. And it feels kind of like it's not working
Mhm.
because you're having to go through more and more and more people. So it's really hard. But I kind of like it. You can quickly weed out, move to the
Yes.
next person. And I personally would always, if I came across someone who was trying to stay online and with the, how you doing
Right.
on Monday, and then not coming back to it till Wednesday, delete,
Yes.
done.
And that was one of the hard ones, because I remember one young lady that I had conversations with, but she would only respond like every 2 days. And I was, and that was why I came up with that initial line of, what can you tell me that I can't read in your bio?
Mhm.
Because when you're going through that whole dance with that person of, how's it going? How was your day?
Right,
Tell me something about this. And you just,
right.
yeah, it's like, kill me now,
Right.
please.
And I think I did that in the beginning when I first started the dating apps.
Yeah.
Just went back and forth. I mean, there were people I would talk to for months on
Yeah.
there. And then finally I said, this is wasting the same amount of time as dating someone who's like, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
It was the same type of thing. So I said, nope, we're going to exchange phone numbers. Let me hear your voice, because sometimes that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
And then just get your vibe. Let's meet, get it out the way, and figure it out. So
Yeah, and the other reason why I prefer the dating apps when you want to do that is that, you may see someone that seems attractive, their bio may be okay, then you get to talk to them and you're like, yeah, this ain't gonna work.
mhm,
There's no awkwardness,
right.
because they don't have your, a lot of times they don't have your phone number, because a lot of these dating apps now will let you talk through the app. And
Right.
so that gives you another layer.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they have your number, that's one thing.
Right.
It's another thing.
Deleted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's another thing if you're in person with that and you're like, oh boy,
Right.
this is a weirdo.
Right.
Now, how do I get out of this?
Mhm.
So,
And I feel like the same precautions apply. Like, you don't go anywhere really private. You don't go over to someone's house when you're first meeting them, whether you met them at the grocery store or you met them on Tinder, right? I mean, we hear about these stories of people being harmed, but if we keep it in perspective, people are getting harmed by people they met in all kinds of places,
Yes,
or even
they are.
sometimes their spouse. So
yes,
it's not really about that. Just be smart no matter what you're doing
absolutely.
when you're dealing with someone that is a stranger.
Yeah, and I think that's the value in having those phone conversations before you meet each other in person and everything,
Mhm.
because then you can kind of figure out, is this the kind of person that I'm going to want to talk to?
Right.
Just give you a little bit more time.
Right. And I know some people have more success with certain apps than others. I think it just depends on maybe what you're looking for. I don't know. But Hinge was one of the obviously one of the last ones since we met. But I didn't have very much luck on most of the apps. I would say maybe plenty of fish here and there, but Hinge.
I never heard of that one.
No.
Bumble was the other one I was on, and it was a few here and there on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Hinge was even before you the most, where it felt like it was people on there who wanted actually to develop something.
Yeah.
Not still quite. Like, I really hit the jackpot with you.
Thank you. Thank you, love. And I really met some interesting people over Tinder, and I was just like, okay, is this what I'm going to deal with the app?
Right.
And so that was one of the first ones I closed down, because I was just like, it's just not me.
Right.
It's not me.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I saw with Tinder and some of the others was it was set up for people who wanted to be in the whole dating scene and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not a dater. I like to, if I see that there's no future in this relationship, then I've got to cut it off.
Right.
Because I don't want to waste time.
Right.
And I always have this fear that while I'm wasting time with the wrong person, the right person could be walking past me and I don't even see him.
Exactly.
And so I'd rather just take the time to get out and start over again.
Right. But before we totally give Tinder a bad rap, I do know some people who met on Tinder and got married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that Tinder's a bad. I'm just saying I didn't have much luck. And it could have been for a myriad of reasons. It could have been the way I wrote my bio, the pictures I took. I mean, those pictures. I hated that. That was so torturous because I don't take pictures of myself. I don't even look at myself. So, you know, yeah,
Got dimples.
yeah, I know. And so, you know, getting around one day and I'm sitting there in my room and I'm trying to take pictures and see how I can look a certain, it just like, that was torture.
Yeah.
That was absolute torture.
Right, right. I will have to say you chose some good pictures. I mean, your pictures were mostly around, this is when you were running a lot.
Yeah.
It was mostly around that. And to be honest, I was a little bit, and I said this in another podcast, I was a little concerned about that because I had gone down that lifestyle, and I want to get back to fitness. I'm not saying that I don't, believe in it, but I knew that at that moment I wasn't going to jump back into that life of constantly be running all the time, and I was a little like concerned, like, oh, he's gonna want me to run with him, and you did, and I did. That's why I walked a few times, but I liked your smile. That's what got me.
Yeah.
So and that's the other thing. If a guy has pictures with no smiling on it, I'm good. Like, I need to see some joy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, I was at that time in my life, I was trying to find joy, and in some ways I'm still looking. I found joy in the woman I'm with. I mean, that part is nailed, but working on joy in myself is still kind of a work in progress. But I do think that if you're if you're not overly outgoing and you're especially for someone who's an introvert, I think that the dating apps are the way to go.
Right.
And a lot of people say, oh, you're going to meet a whole bunch of crazy people. Yeah, you're probably going to meet a few. But, all in all, most of the women that I met seem like good people, just maybe not good for me.
Right.
Or I wasn't good for them, So, but they weren't bad people,
right?
So I lucked up in that respect, and I really lucked up in this respect because I got the woman that I wanted.
Oh, thank you so much.
And after, and I was on all of those dating apps, and after that first actual date we went on at Rush Street, I went home and I was like, okay, I'm good.
I couldn't believe when you told me. I deleted it the same night. I was like, wow.
I did, because I'm not a dater. I don't like dating.
Right.
I really don't like it.
Right. But how did you know from that first date that you would?
I didn't know. But the whole thing was, I knew that you had enough that I wanted to concentrate on. So I didn't know that we would be in this situation right now and about to get married and all that. I did not know that.
Right.
But I knew that I was really interested in you. And so for me to be interested in you, I prefer to concentrate on one person. I don't like all that other stuff. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I've like never been a player. I've always been kind of the average guy who had girlfriends here and there, but I was never the guy that women were like, "Ooh,"
right.
Never.
Right.
There's no Denzel in me or anything like that, or who's your guy, Morris Chestnut? None of that. I'm average guy, and so, but I'm just not a dater.
Right.
So.
I'm not either. I mean, I think I get awkward around men. I think I'm more comfortable now as I've aged, but when I was younger, I was really awkward. It's not probably the men. It was more me and how I just feel about myself, and it would show.
Yeah.
And so I thought, if you get to know me first without judging my body language, then maybe you'll, be more open-minded.
Yeah.
But
that brings about an interesting question in terms of, because when it comes to the dating apps, there is a security concern.
Yes.
Especially for women. How did you go about that?
I don't know. I think I just, didn't give out too much information. You mean like safety-wise or security? Like,
right. What I'm saying is in terms of when you decided, okay, that's the time to meet that person, what type of anxiety did that give you of, I don't know this person and I'm going to go out to dinner or coffee or whatever the case may be?
Well, always in a public place, well lit. Try to get there before them often if you can. Never give anyone like your address. Like I, didn't let anybody pick me up. I just met everywhere that we went. I don't know. I think if this were now, with crime being even worse than what it was, I feel like when we met 3 years ago,
Yeah.
I might be sure what I would do.
Yeah.
I think because I'm a little more skeptical about everything right now. But during that time, I think I was a little more open, of course, there's always that,
Yes.
Keeping in mind something could happen, but I felt pretty comfortable. I didn't go anywhere that felt like really scary to me.
Yeah.
So it felt okay. I mean, of course, in the back of my head, I would let somebody know where I was, make sure they can, do the little find me,
Yes.
have my phone number or whatever, and maybe text throughout to let them know I'm okay. And that's kind of how I dealt with it.
Yeah, I think with us, we got comfortable with each other pretty quickly because we had so many long conversations
Right.
over those few days before we actually met up. And so maybe you felt a little bit more comfortable.
Maybe I pushed myself. Plus, you pushed me, right? You're like, I want to pick you up. I mean, we did speak for 3 hours every day for a week, but
Yeah.
that's really, somebody can do that. Sometimes people can do that for months and still be crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. There must have been something there that made me feel comfortable and trusting you. And here's the other thing, and I think you did the same thing. Like I do background checks. I pay for it.
Yeah.
I pay for it. Like,
Yeah.
where'd you live? Let me see if what I find matches up with what you told me.
Yep.
And, if it does,
Yep.
that makes me feel a whole lot better. But I definitely do that. And I know that you did it too, because I remember
I did. I absolutely.
when I had to put my car in the shop and I said, oh, I'm going to Uber home or something. Like, no, I'll come pick you up from where you work. And I hadn't even told you the address to where I work.
Nope.
And you were there like 10 minutes after you said I was like,
You just told me you were in elementary school. You were in second. You told me you were second grade, but you didn't tell me what school.
Right.
And I already knew.
but like,
Already
you're
knew.
sweet.
Already knew.
Like stalker, or I'm like, if he's doing that, I do it. I want to know. So I had to look at it, and now
Yeah.
instead of thinking of you as a stalker, I'm like, okay, he's checking to see if I'm
Yeah.
straight too. I mean,
Oh yeah, I absolutely do.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can find anything on social media
right.
that will give me any kind of idea of what kind of this person is.
Mhm.
You weren't on LinkedIn or anything like that.
No, I've tried.
You know, that's normally one of the first places I go is LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is because when you go to some of the other places, if they have private accounts, you won't be able to see but so much.
Okay.
So LinkedIn a lot of times is the first one I go to, and then you can look at Facebook and Instagram and see if you can find them.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I or just straight Google search, and I
Yes.
think I got your school off a straight Google search.
That's insane.
Yes.
That's insane.
But of course, we've removed ourselves from a lot of those.
Absolutely. Sure did. Sure did. And there's a site, I don't know, paid like $19.95 or something. The more you pay, the more you can see. Like,
Yeah.
And so I would always use that.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it makes sense to use whatever's available, in order to find out more about that person. Because, even if you take the whole security aspect away from it, you're just curious.
Right.
You're honestly curious,
Right.
because so many people say so many great things, and, and I have an Olympic gold medal in swimming, and,
Right. Right.
I am, I served as president,
Right.
the United States,
Right.
Until a couple of years ago. And,
Right.
But,
I always just want to make sure. Well, of course, I want to look to see if they have a record,
yeah,
or and if to make sure that the person is who they say they are. They're not married. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
yeah,
So
yeah. I've heard with women that's kind of a big deal.
yeah,
For
as it should be
marriage.
with everyone.
Yes.
But that is like huge.
Yes.
Like I'm only part of that. So
So I kept my divorce decree on my phone, kept it readily available. So here,
yeah,
here's my proof.
right.
Yeah, because I've heard from other women that I know who dated online in terms of what they found, and they were like, okay, you're not married. Are you divorced? And is it final? Can you show me?
Right.
So I had everything on the ready.
Right.
Yeah.
I try to stay open-minded though, because also as you age,
Yeah.
and I wanted someone around my age, it comes with certain things,
Yes.
so when you're younger, you're like, okay, no kids, no this, no that, right? But as you get older, it's like, okay.
You accumulate baggage.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and I accumulated something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I tried to tell you about that, as we first started talking,
Right.
like in our initial conversations. That's why our conversations lasted so long.
Right.
Because both of us were doing a whole lot of uploading to each other. Here's the good and the not so great.
Right.
So I think that's one of the ways that I got more comfortable with you, because when I asked you a lot of those questions that required a bit of vulnerability, you were all for it.
Was because I wanted to, I knew that I wanted to be in a relationship. I knew the type of person I was looking for forever, even when I didn't date them. So I figured the least I could do is give myself a chance, even though I didn't always believe that I would find the person. But I thought I kind of had a better chance of doing it online because it gives you access to so many people.
Yeah.
So I thought that would help.
Now, did you pay extra for any of the little add-ons that they
There
do?
were times like you buy a couple of coins and it goes out to more people, things like that. I did do that here and there, but not on Hinge. I don't think that was even offered. I don't remember, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure Hinge had something like that. Yeah.
I was off and on Hinge, but I think when we met, I wasn't back on that long before we met. So
yeah, I spent a little bit of money just trying to get a broader reach.
Right.
And especially since I kind of narrowed my focus, at least geographically.
Yes.
I wanted someone who was in at least the county that I lived in.
Right.
I didn't want to drive too far. I met women that were like in San Diego and all these other, and I was just like, no, Ventura.
That would not for me.
No, I don't want to do that because I'm afraid I will like you.
Right. Right.
and then I'm in my car all day driving proud.
But your love language is quality time.
Yes.
And so we could,
that would not have worked for me.
Right. So we weren't too far apart, which was perfect. Almost a straight line almost.
Did you have like geographical preferences on yours?
I did. I kept saying, even 25 miles is too much, but because I noticed if I did it too small, forget it, because all my other stuff was too picky. So I had to take it out 25 miles.
Now, bringing in one of my insecurities, did you have a height requirement?
I did, but over the years I changed.
Oh, you relaxed it?
I did. Yes. It had to,
Because you can see on camera, I'm not tall.
Yes.
I'm not.
Right.
It is what it is. I'm not tall.
I just wanted someone who is either my height. Well, originally, of course, I wanted someone who was taller, right?
Yeah.
But I said at least my height or a little taller.
You know what's cool about that? I always wanted to be taller.
Yeah.
So I think that works out perfectly.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about 5'8", and that's about the best I can do.
Yeah.
I'm just not tall.
Right.
So.
And I am 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems to go up and down.
Yeah. And so it was interesting for me because I would see some attractive women and some who may even have swiped on me, and they're like, I'm 5'10". I'm like, oh.
Wow. Did you want someone shorter than you?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't even want anyone my height because then it's the whole thing about you put on the high heels and now you're looking down at me.
Right. Right.
And it's a weird insecurity. You can even say that it's a maturity issue.
Right.
But it is absolutely an insecurity. But I don't have like a Napoleonic complex or anything like that. But I do know that I am not taller than average.
Right. Right.
So,
and did you have like weight requirements and all that stuff? I mean, I've grown weight since we've met.
No.
But no, you didn't have weight requirements.
No, because honestly, my preferences, so I'll put it all right out there. I prefer Black women. I just, I love Black women. Not that I'm against anybody else.
Right.
but I also like a woman that's got a little something on her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah. In fact, the women that were a little too slim,
Mm-hmm.
probably I was less attracted to.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer a woman from medium to a little bit over.
I wonder how it would have worked when I was all into my fitness stage and I got pretty small. I wonder what.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But you got to understand, those were not hard red lines. I mean, those were not hard lines that I drew in the sand. Right. Where if I met a woman that was really skinny and we really got along, then I'd be fine.
Right.
Just like I honestly believe that if I met a woman that just happened to be a couple inches taller than me, if we had a connection, I don't think that I would have gone away from that.
Right.
So these are preferences.
Right.
They're not, they're not hard lines. They're preferences. I think that when you go through this process, you really have to inventory what you want and decide what's critical and what's just a nice to have.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And it's interesting because even though you can put those preferences in usually in most of all the apps, sometimes the person still got through. You know what I mean? Which is interesting. Yeah. Which I guess could be a good thing because, like, again, you never know, right? Like, I was kind of like, I'm not going to have dogs.
Yes.
And I have a dog.
Well, but I don't even remember anything on there that would have said where I would have been able to say I have dogs. I mean, I could have put it in my bio.
But a lot of people have a picture of them with their
yes.
And their little kids. I mean, a lot do. A lot of people do that. So, because a lot of people do love dogs. And it's not that I dislike dogs. Don't kill me out there. Yeah. But it's just I didn't grow up with animals really. And I didn't see myself. I just didn't see myself doing that. And here I am doing it.
And when you met our little Shiba Inu and he decided that you were going to love him.
Yes.
He decided that too.
Yes, he did.
And then he went on making sure of it.
Yes, absolutely. He pursued me.
He did. He did.
He didn't pursue me during the podcast.
Yeah, see that.
I'm not to rub up and down on the side.
Yes, he loves his mama now.
Right.
Yeah. And he's 5 years old and acts like a puppy.
Yeah.
But he's cool.
Right.
Yeah, so let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What other preferences did you have? Were there any others that maybe weren't hard lines, but preferences?
I think I preferred if someone didn't have kids, but I knew that was not likely at this age.
Yeah.
What other preferences? I knew a lot of the other preferences were met. Like I wanted someone who's like a softer type of guy. I mean, could be strong and,
right.
Like, you have a nice voice. I wanted somebody with a nice voice, and you did have one, so that was a big hit. But I knew I didn't want someone who was like, didn't know how to have a range of emotion. I was done with that.
Yeah.
The person before you was very reserved about showing very many emotions. It was like, I have to be tough all the time. I have to be ready to fight all the time.
Yeah.
Even if it was with me, not physically, but the arguing and just not being open. I knew it had to be someone who was open to trying new things.
Yeah.
Someone who was open culturally, because I have a lot of different friends from a lot of different backgrounds. So that was important to me. Someone who was educated and kind and thoughtful and loving, and it changed a lot from when I was younger, before I didn't think about all of those different things, but how someone speaks to me, how they accept me, make me feel, because a lot of times they're like, you're so quiet, or, I'm introverted. I'm more open than I used to be, but before it was like, they mistook it for being stuck up and stuff like that. And that was not the case.
Yeah.
So just someone who wanted what I wanted, though, too. That was huge. So it was those kind of preferences. Like, they weren't just preferences. Those were like actual must do.
Yeah, and looking at the different profiles, what I found that it was difficult to figure out much about the person, because some people, like myself, can be awkward in trying to describe yourself and trying to make sure you got the right picture that someone's going to want to see and all of that.
Right.
It's awkward. And so I tried to give a bit of grace if the bio seemed a bit weird.
Right.
Because I'm sure at some point mine probably seemed a bit weird because I didn't know what to say. And so, but I also think that that's one of the reasons why, for someone who's introverted or has anxiety or whatever the case may be, I think the dating apps are the way to go, because you can kind of express a little bit more. You can try. I mean, it's still going to be a bit awkward, but you're going to do better doing that than you would at a bar or at a park or at the grocery store.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of stories of people meeting there, but I have not had success really just meeting someone. I met someone at work once, but that was a disaster. So, you know, I mean, once I was out of school, it, you know, just wasn't meeting people the same. I mean, when I was in my clubbing stage, I would meet people, but they had a clubbing mindset, so they weren't trying to settle down or anything.
Well, I had this one thing because I was talking to my best friend, and I was trying to figure out, you know, I'm not really comfortable meeting women and everything. And his whole thing was, he said, every time you walk past a woman that's attractive, just give her a quick glance and say, how you doing? That's it. You don't have to do it. Just say, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And depending on how they answer, you know, they may be interested.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, but let's say they're interested. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what do I say?
Yeah.
You know, it's like I need more.
Right. 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 If it were me, I still, even if I was interested, I would have been like, I'm done. You know what I mean? I would have still said that, like, because I don't know what to say next.
Yeah.
I'm not flirtatious, so you know, I'm even like that in all my, you know, relationships, where when I meet someone, if they initiate the conversation, then it opens me up. But I typically do not like go in,
Right.
you know, and then
It's
it's awkward for me a little bit.
And it was interesting. It happened to me one day. I was actually in Home Depot, and a young lady was walking towards me. I was like, how you doing? She's like, hey, how's it going? And it seemed, I don't know if it was friendly or interested or what, but I kept walking because I didn't know what to say. I had nowhere to go after that.
Right.
Okay, she seemed receptive, but I have nowhere to go here.
And to me, you don't strike me that way. To me, like, if we go out, you're like joking with the waitress or waiter or whoever.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to get with them.
True.
And so there's no real consequence
Right.
to the interaction. You know, I like talking to people.
Right.
But I like having casual conversation with random strangers. I do enjoy that.
Right.
But I'm also not trying to go home with them.
Right.
So there you go.
So what advice would you give to people who want to venture out onto the apps online to try to find love?
I would say try out a few different apps. Try out the full range of them and just give it some time. Because one of the things I do know is, at least for me, when I would start up the account, I wouldn't hear nothing would happen for maybe a week or two, you know, and then you start to see maybe a steady stream here and there. But I would say get on to the different apps and give it some time. You know, if you're a male looking for a woman, what I would suggest, this is something I actually did, was go to a female friend and say, hey, look at my account and let me know if I look like a serial killer.
No.
And I would honestly give the same advice to a woman looking for a man.
Right.
Would be, hey, find a male friend that you respect, not some knucklehead,
Right.
and say, hey, look this over.
Right.
And you can do this in homosexual relationships as well.
Right.
But what it is about finding someone who has a good sense about them to look at your profile and just give you some pointers. Hey, I don't like that picture. Remember a good friend of mine who had just started getting onto the dating app.
Yes.
And I said, I'm I'm going to give it over to Tiffany. And
Right.
and you were like, not that
With one
picture.
of those pictures in the gym with the shirt off.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And he doesn't know.
Right.
And I didn't know. I was like, yeah, man, that's a good picture.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, I think that's important to find someone
Right.
who you respect on the other side
Yes.
who can say, yeah, that's good, or nah.
Right.
That's
And
bad.
I'd also say that if you don't have anyone, let's say you want to be private about it, you don't want people to know, I would say just have pictures that show you doing different things you like to do, you know, at least a full body picture.
Yeah.
You know, a picture of you having some fun, a picture of you being maybe a little more serious, a hobby that you like to do,
Yeah.
a picture. They don't need to see your little kids, your grandkids, I feel like, you know, unless you're really, you're really
Right.
looking for somebody else who's like
Yeah.
all into their grandkids. I think just show that you're having a good time, like, and
Yes.
smiling, you know, because you want to know that people smile. I know men sometimes just have that mean mug look on their face, right? Resting, what is it, RBG or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, for a guy, but
RBF.
yeah, that's it. The RBG, what the heck is that? So anyway, yes, I think that it's important to show yourself in different
Yeah.
lights, like just a few, don't overdo it. I don't think having other people in the picture is a good idea.
No.
You start looking at all the other folks,
Yeah.
you know, unless you have a real good purpose for it, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I would probably steer away from doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Because the guy may look at the picture and say, yeah, I'd rather have her.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Right,
You know?
right.
So yeah, be careful with that. But as we draw this to a close,
Mhm.
because we're still trying to figure this whole thing out.
Yes.
We're gonna move some lights around next time,
Right.
and
And do you guys want to meet? Should we let them meet Delphine? Let's see if he'll come over.
where is he? Come on, big boy,
Come here,
hey.
Delphine.
come here.
Since you were big.
Or now he doesn't want to come up
Oh,
here.
gosh.
Okay,
Come here.
come on. Come on. Ah. So let's get him up here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I really like to be held.
yeah. Well, we're gonna hold him anyway. We love that.
He's all like,
Hey, big boy. Yeah, I know, man. I know. I know. You're not comfortable being held. Yes. But
and keep.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
You got hair all this.
So yeah. So don't worry. He's getting groomed this week.
Yeah.
So he'll look a lot better and
Right.
get all that
Go-
fur out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know this is a bit awkward, but these are the growing pains that we're going through, and you know, trying to figure this whole thing out. And we appreciate, you know, everyone just sticking with us and through these growing pains. And you know, you got any parting words?
I don't, but we hope that you will still continue to give us some feedback. He's trying to really get in there.
Yeah.
Give us some feedback, but things that you want to hear, you want to see. Who do you want to see on the show? What topics would you like to see and have us cover, and any ideas? And please like, share, continue to support us. I enjoy doing this. I mean, of course, we would love for this podcast to take off, but if it doesn't, our main thing is that we want it to be fun and just us sharing a fraction of the conversations that we enjoy having with each other, and we think other people might want to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for Love, Growth, and Narratives, I'm Freddie.
And I'm Tiffany.
Thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll get better as we get down the road.
Yes.
Take care.
Take care.